Hello, everyone. Gonna wait a moment for everyone to join in. Sorry, I am coming on late today. It has been quite a day. Very, very busy here today, and I've wanted to go live literally all day. And I wanted to do some Colorburst watercoloring with you today. Also, talk about an awesome today only sale that I wanted to review with you guys because I love to show you guys first because I love my YouTube family. But today we are going to be watercoloring this beautiful, hello Carla, this beautiful background stamp that we've had for quite some time, which is the rose background. And we're going to use a little bit of the glitter cardstock or the glitter stock as well. So we're going to talk about that. But first, so that everyone that can run whenever they want to run to, I talked to you guys. Oh, it's been a day. Talked to you guys about these stencil brushes before. If you want to grab these stencil brushes, I only have a couple in stock right now, and we are moving to our new location soon. So we're trying to, not take as much with us as we can. If you put in the code brush18 at checkout, I'm going to give you these for 50% off. Okay? Brush18 while supplies last. Brush18 if you want these brushes, the Ken Oliver brushes. We're doing them at 50% off today. Today only. I'm sharing with you first because once we send out the email, they will be gone. So this is what they look like. They're super soft. They're awesome for doing stenciling. Brush 18 today gets you them 50% off, which is literally the lowest I think you will ever see these brushes off. So brush 18, if you want to take a screenshot, there it is. If you're watching the replay, I apologize if they're all gone. We will be restocking when we get to the new location, but brush 18 gets you 50% off of these brushes, which is awesome. So today we're going to be doing some watercoloring with some Colorbursts. So I'm using the Brutus Monroe Colorburst today. Myself and my dear friend Ken Oliver did a partnership and we did some Brutus Monroe colors. So I wanted to show you how I do that today. So I already have my stamp, my very, very well-loved stamp, as you can see, super well-loved stamp here. And I'm going to use some of our new heavy watercolor cardstock. This watercolor cardstock, hello Barina, is 140 pound. It's a very, 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 very thick cardstock. And it's my favorite. So we're going to use that today. And you can kind of hear how thick and great that is. So what I'm going to do is I've already stamped this once, obviously, as you had seen there. So I'm going to place it right where I have my little marks on my Misty tablet here. And I'm going to put it smooth side up. Then I'm going to grab some of the purple tape. I use purple tape for everything now. You get so much on this roll. Obviously, we also carry this at Brutus Monroe. But you get a ton on the roll, so you don't feel bad about using your pretty washi that everyone swears someday they are going to use on a project. But you don't feel as bad because you can reuse this tape. It's super sticky, but doesn't stick doesn't rip up the paper or anything like that. I'm going to grab some of, whoops, there goes my brush, some of the Raven Detail ink. This is the true black ink that I use on everything because it can be used with watercoloring. It can be used with alcohol marker coloring. It's not going to smear. It's not going to fade. It's super, super black, which is awesome. Now, we probably are going to have to stamp this more than once because it is watercolor paper, which means that it has texture. If you like the look of this without stamping it more than once, by all means, go ahead and leave it that way. I'm going to stamp mine multiple times just simply because it is a, it's watercolor paper. So I know that I'm going to need to stamp it more than once to make sure that that texture kind of supersedes itself. And then if you see that there are some areas that aren't stamping as well, you can again go back in. I've noticed with watercolor paper, it's generally third time's a charm, is what I always say. But you can see that this is a really, 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 really dark really, really black ink. So I'm going to go in, make sure I have all of those areas. This area here is where I'm having the trouble. But again, that's okay. It just adds to the luster, I think. So now I'm going to lift this up, and we're not going to use the full size of this watercolor cardstock, obviously, because the stamp is a little bit smaller. It does fit on a 4x6. So we'll close up our Misty, move it to the side. And now I'm going to heat set this ink real quick, because you'll note that we put a lot of ink on here. I mean, we put a ton of ink on here. So I always suggest heat setting it, because we're going to be adding a lot of water to this. And since there's a lot of ink, it takes a little bit longer for the ink to absorb into watercolor paper. I hope that makes sense. So it takes a little bit longer for it to absorb into the watercolor paper. And with that being said, you want to make sure that you heat set it so that your ink doesn't really move. Because normally it's going to absorb, you know, it's not going to take forever to absorb, but it's watercolor paper. So, you know, it's made to absorb things. It's made to take a lot of water on. So what I did here, I want to show you, is I took some of the Colorburst, which are, what colors did I use? I used rouge, and I'll just show you what I did here. I just added, the difference between a heat gun and a blow dryer, not much. The heat gun's going to get a little bit hotter, and it's not going to blow as much hot air. I mean, it's not going to blow as fast as a hair dryer. So I mean, you could use a hair dryer. It's not going to make a difference. It's going to be a lot more wind coming out of a hair dryer. And then I'm going to take my Brutus Monroe. This is the medium tip water brush, and I'm just going to gently squeeze, ever so gently, where it says push. You do not want to squeeze it too much, because there's a chamber inside of here, and I know I've told you about this before. There's a little black chamber inside of here, and you don't want to rupture that chamber, because that stops the dirty water from getting back into the clean water. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to start going in, and I'm just going to add my Colorburst. Now for this portion, I'm just kind of messily going into where all of my petals are. And this is what I call watercolor cheating. And what that means is you're going to go in and you're going to add more of the watercolor, or more of the Colorburst mixed with the water in some areas and less in other areas. So you'll see how I'm not dipping back in. I'm going all the way up into these other areas to make sure that I have a lighter hue. Then I'll dip in again, grab a little bit more color, and just add that into, and you'll notice that some of the petals that I want to have a little bit more defined, I'm going to add a little bit more color. So would you like me to zoom in? I can zoom in a little bit for you guys. I know that's probably going to be the next question. So let me zoom in here. There we go. Much better. Okay, so now I'm going to go back in and again just add additional color. Now, what I'm going to do, and I'm going to focus on this one rose now, because then I'll kind of speed in and chat with you guys when I'm doing the others. So you can see, just kind of messy, just kind of, you know, just add more color in some certain areas and less color in other areas. I'm so glad you finally caught me live as well. So anyone that's just joining in, the Ken Oliver stencil brushes, we have 50% off today. If you want to grab those, use the code BRUSH18, and you're going to get the deal of the century, in my opinion, on those brushes. So I'm going to go in, again, add some more color, and then I'm going to show you what I'm going to do dipping into that Marsala color in just 1 second. So you can see we already have a really, really beautiful kind of start there, right? So now I'm going to dip into my Marsala, but I'm not going to clean my brush. This is important, at least when I, am doing the watercoloring. Add a little bit more water to reconstitute that, because it has dried up a little bit, but it will always reconstitute itself. I'm going to use the center palette to kind of make sure that I have the right color. And this is also a Brutus Monroe palette. It's non-stick, which is awesome, because that will make sure that your watercolors are not going to stick to it, and you can reconstitute them very easily. And all I'm doing is I'm going in and I'm just adding some color just in some natural shading areas that we have here on this illustration. So it's not difficult, kind of grab a little bit more water, spread it out here, and we're not doing anything, it's not super fancy. You don't have to worry about it. Just add color and keep building. Keep building. That's the thing. Don't stop, if that makes sense. Don't stop adding color. And you'll note that whenever there are some roses that are going to butt up against one another, like for instance, I'm just adding in color right here, just doing like a color wash. But these natural lines that we have here, I'm going to come back in with the Marcella because this is still wet and just add just a tiny, tiny little bit of additional color in some of those areas. And that's going to lend itself, and I'm glad that we got a little too much color there, because what I can do is I can grab that color and I can move it. So I'm going to grab it, move it over to here, grab a little bit more of our rouge color, and just blend that in. Just blend it out. Again, you don't, it's not rocket science. So doesn't anyone have to make supper? Oh, I don't know. I'm glad that everyone that is not making supper is here with me. So again, I'm just going to add in some more of that rouge color. Makes it super simple. You'll see that it's very, very vibrant. That's one thing that I love about Colorburst, is they are super, super vibrant. Again, just going in with some of the Marcella and order out. That's fantastic. That's probably what I'm going to end up doing today, because I will be at the office late. Lots and lots and lots to do. Lots to do. Lots of cool things. Lots of cool things coming out. One of which I'm going to show you in 1 second, a sneak peek of something that's coming out that's actually already on the website, but it's secretly on the website. So you'll have to find it if you want it. So I'll show you that as soon as I'm done adding in some more color here. So again, all we're doing is going around and adding color. And you'll note that again, it's just very simple. Just go back in and just where you think you should add some darker areas, add some darker areas. The person that you're giving this card to, I promise you, does not know the modern art science of the modern art science of where the light is hitting and where you want to add higher tones of color and lighter tones of color. I promise you they're going to appreciate that you watercolored anything at all. So I'm going in and I'm adding additional color. Again, just do kind of a wash in some of these, some of these petal areas. You don't have to rush, but it's kind of easier if you just keep flowing, if that makes sense. Just keep flowing. Elizabeth, you're going to do it on the very, very last page at checkout, where it says coupon code. And anyone that wants to get those brushes, I would say hurry up, because I'm looking at right now the sales actually pop up on the monitor as it's coming in. It looks like we only have about half of them left. So I will be here. You can watch the replay. I promise I'm not going anywhere. Make sure to put that discount code in and get yourself some awesome stencil brushes for little to nothing at all before that email goes out. Because once that email goes out, I can promise you we're not going to have any left. You have them and love them? Awesome. Yeah, they're my favorite too. It's just we can't take everything with us to the new location whenever, when we're figuring out how we're going to move everything. There are some things that we just can't move with us. We'll, bring them to the store later, but it just won't fit in the move. So as you can see, I'm just adding in some Marcella, again, just in some of the natural shaded areas. So I'm not doing anything fancy, not doing anything that you, again, cannot do. I'm just blending these two colors, the rouge and the Marcella, blend so beautifully together that it lends itself to creating just a beautiful, beautiful watercolor scene almost, all on its own. And the water brush, you don't have to add, that's the beauty of the Bruce Monroe water brushes, you don't have to add water to it. The water is going to really and truly, it just flows on its own. So you can see here, I'm just adding a gentle wash, and then I'll go back in and add in some additional color. So I'm going to grab the rouge, give a little bit more of the rouge to that petal, a little bit more rouge to this petal, a little bit more rouge to this petal, and just go in and add your natural highlights. It could not be easier. You can see here, I'm not, there's nothing that I'm doing here that's, I'm not saying the light is coming from the west. It's, really just adding in color, these two colors. Now, if you had two colors that didn't really flow together nicely. And what I mean by that is if you had two colors that weren't really close in the color family, luckily Rouge and Marcella are very close in the families of colors, then you would have, obviously, you'd have some issues with adding in the color and making sure that you have a lot of vibrancy and they're really, really, playing off of each other well. But luckily, since these two go together so well, and I'm just going to squeeze my brush, get as much of that color out of there into another palette as I can, so that I can add in just water to a couple of areas. And by adding in just water, that's going to create a little bit of a more subtle gradation from one color to another. Now, you don't have to make it subtle. Usually when I'm doing any type of watercoloring, especially with Colorburst, I don't want it to be subtle. I want it to look like it has been watercolored within an inch of its life. That's what I love about watercoloring, and what I think makes watercoloring so fun is that you don't have to be an expert. You really don't. I mean, we're not doing, we're not working on Monets here. We're literally just, we're making cards, and we're making, we're creating our own ending, and we're really, really making really a memory is what a card becomes, is a memory of something that your loved one or whomever you give it to is most likely going to cherish. I know that most of the brush I'm using is a water brush. So if you just go to brutusmonroe.com and type in water brush, one word, you'll find we have 3 different sizes. My favorite is the medium. That's the one that I'm using today. And you'll see here now, this is the final of this watercolor. I could hit it with a heat gun and I could go ahead and dry this, but I'm just going to take the one that I already did earlier. So that's this one here. This is what it will look like when it's dry. Again, all I did was go in with variable colors and just added some different shading to it, which was so simple. Now, what I did was the other day I showed you guys, obviously, this glitter stock that we have. It'll be in out house tomorrow, meaning that it will start shipping out to all of you guys that pre-ordered it tomorrow. But I have, some extra pieces. So all I did was I cut off this extra piece, and I'm going to mat that right behind this here. So it's going to add a little bit of whimsy to it. And then I took some of our brand new cardstock, which launches Friday. So keep your eye out. On Friday is when the new cardstock, the new Brutus Monroe cardstock is going to launch. This is the aubergine color. So now I'm going to grab a little bit of adhesive. This is my favorite little adhesive from ThermoWeb. And I'm going to add in, actually the green one's my favorite, but I don't think I have any green ones, so I'm using the pink one. I mean, they both work great. It's just I like the dots as opposed to the solid tape. And I'm just going to add this on here. And then you'll see that we have just a little tiny bit. Let me adjust this a little bit. Let's do it this way, so I know exactly how much pink we're getting. And I could use my grid mat, but we'll just eyeball it. And then I'm going to grab a pair of scissors. With me one moment. And I'm just going to cut off that tiny, tiny little bit there at the bottom. And pop that guy off there. I am using our new Colorburst, the new Brutus Monroe Colorburst. Yep. Then I'm going to take some of... Oh, thank you so much. That's okay. Come back and watch it later. It stays here forever. Yes, our stamp cleaner smells like roses. Yes, yes, yes. Which is funny because of our rose stamp we're using today. So now I'm just going to map this kind of right in the center here. Now, for this card, I don't think it needs a sentiment. You can add a sentiment, of course, to a card like this if you would like. I'm not adding a sentiment because I don't think that we need a sentiment. Hello, Simon. I don't think that we necessarily need a sentiment, but I think that that's going to be just fine on its own. Now I'm going to take a piece of, hold on one moment, please. This is sticking to everything. A piece of our, and if you guys haven't seen this yet, it just came back in stock, thank goodness. Yes, our cleaner smells like roses now. This is our Not Your Mama's cardstock. So it's the ultra heavyweight base weight cardstock. It is 120 pounds. So I say it's like Hallmark cardstock, and it makes your cards. I mean, just it's incredible. It's I'm obsessed with it. The one thing I will say though is you do have to make sure that you score it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it first. I'm just using my Cricut trimmer here. So we're going to cut it at 4 1/4 because it is 8.5 by 11. So I just cut that right in half, which gives us a great card base. Let me put that to the side. Now for our Cricut trimmer, all I do is just pop this piece out. This piece falls right out. And I'm just gonna grab my scoring blade. So you just pop this back in and it will only line up one way. So if it doesn't go right in, you'll know that it's not going the right way. And that popped right in, so that means it went the right way. And luckily with the Cricut trimmer, it has a little area on the back for you to store those. And now I'm going to grab, hello Belinda. Now I'm going to grab my trimmer again. Let me move this out of the way before we have a terrible accident. And I'm going to pop this in at 5.5 because it's 11 is the total size. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to score it. And I always score it real well because it is super ultra thick. Then we can move this guy out of the way. Make sure I don't lose my trimmer blade there. It happens more often than not. Then you just fold it. And it folds beautifully as long as you score it. Again, like I said, you have to score it. This cardstock, do you see how thick that cardstock is? Oh, good. Good, good, good. I love that she's stamping the mermaids. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and grab some more adhesive here. And we're just going to pop this on the front. Again, if you want to do a sentiment, you can. I'm just not doing one today because I don't think that a sentiment's necessary on this real pretty front of this card. But you can. I'm just going to pop that on there, and there is our card for the day. Okay, so how fun is that? I just think it was so easy, so simple. And now our other one is already dry, so we can place this on a card base as well. This is one of my favorite stamps that we've done in a long time. Now, I did tell you that I had a surprise for you guys. So are you guys ready for a quick surprise? A kind of a new product surprise? Because it's hot off the press. It literally just came to the offices today. The full size of these came to the offices today. So the birthday box, which you guys have been emailing, calling, texting, sending any message you possibly can to Heather, excuse me, about the birthday boxes. They're coming soon. They're coming next Friday. But in the birthday boxes, we have a very special embossing powder that is going to be a little travel size that's going to be inside of that box. And I'm really excited because it's a powder that we've never done before. It's a powder that has never been, a powder that's never been seen before by Brutus Monroe, but it's brand spanking new. And we have the full size available in the store now. So this is a very special embossing powder. I'm really excited about it. And it's called our Rainbow Sparkle Embossing Powder. So you may say, what is the Rainbow Sparkle Embossing Powder? Well, let me open it up and show you exactly what it is. So let me kind of even it out a little bit there, and hopefully the camera can pick up all of the different sparkly, glittery rainbow colors that are inside of this embossing powder. And it is just absolutely spectacular. So if you're lucky enough to get one of the 50 birthday boxes, you are going to get a little sample of this guy. But if you want to grab this right now, it's available. So just letting you guys know, it's available right now. I'll go ahead and I'll sprinkle some out right now and show you what it looks like. I'm going to grab some of the Brutus Monroe embossing pad. Just going to add a little bit on here. This guy needs re-inked, so we'll re-ink him later. So I'm going to go ahead and let's see, where's my embossing powder return vestibule? Here it is. So I'll show you what this looks like. The boxes will be online at 9 a.m. on Friday. 9 a.m. on April 20th. Okay, just so you know. Now we're going to grab some of this embossing powder. Oh my goodness, I can't wait to show you guys this. It's so cool. I've wanted to use this since the moment that we were talking about bringing it in. Okay, so now let me go ahead and pop this back inside of the container. Lots of glittery rainbow goodness. Close that off, and let's go ahead. Oops, I just got my finger in it. That's okay. And we'll heat it up. And I'll show you what happens. It's so cool. So it's going to be clear, which is just, I mean, it's incredible. And I can't wait for you to see what happens. So it's clear as it dries onto this aubergine cardstock, but the magic happens when I bring it up to the camera. So let me show you what happens. Look at all of that glitter. And I'm hoping I'm doing it justice. It's going to be hard to see because of all the lights in the studio, but there is so much rainbow glitter inside of here that I wish you could see it in real life. Really, you should really see it in real life, but there's so much glitter inside of here, and it's clear. So if you want to stamp, like for instance, we have some really, really cool butterflies that you could stamp, and I'm hoping you can see all the glitter. I mean, there's so much glitter inside of here. It's really hard to show you how much glitter. That is the Rainbow Sparkle embossing powder, and it really is a showstopper whenever you use it in your projects. And I hope you can see there's just so much glitter in there. It's hard to show you. So if you search rainbow right now at producerno.com, you'll be the first one to be able to order it. Again, it is available. I snuck it onto the website today after my staff had gone home. It would look great with your unicorn stuff. So it is on the website live now. You can grab it. It is super, super top secret on the website, but now the whole world will kind of know it's there because it's on the YouTube channel. But here is what that looks like. It's just so cool. And again, for anybody that's joining in right now, just so you guys know, if you want these brushes, which are the Ken Oliver stencil brushes, if you'd like to get yourself a set, brush 18 gets you 50% off today. They are awesome. They're really, really cool, really, really soft, work beautifully with stencils and other, you can use them really with all sorts of stuff, but I absolutely love them. I love my set. And they're 50% off today, which I think brings them down to $17 or something. A really, really good price. $17, I believe. So grab yours before they are gone. Again, brush 18 while supplies last. If you just type in Ken Oliver, just KENOLIVER, you'll be able to bring them up. Just type in Ken Oliver, and you'll bring them up. Okay? All right. Well, thank you all so very much for tuning in. I adore each and every one of you. Looks like we only have about 5 sets of those stencil brushes left. So thank you to everyone who has placed your order. Again, the rainbow powders are on the website. Grab them while you can before we do the full demo or full release of them. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I adore each and every one of you. You guys rock my world. Thank you for allowing me to do what I love every single day. And remember to always create your own ending. Goodbye.